there is so much shifting going on in the NFL right now that I don't know if a lot of the fans are realizing it, but there is a lot of shifting going on between these organizations having to cater a little bit to their star players and their star players realizing that and saying, "Hey, I'm going to hold you accountable for what you're doing."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if your goal as a team is to be the best team available or best team you can put out there, if that is your organizational goal, which is every team in the
Yep.
leagues pretty
Yep.
much, then you need to listen to some of these players that have great football knowledge and influence and have utilized their talents instead of just their physical talents on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is, I think you're, I think that's, let's just shift right into it. I think that's what you're seeing with Aaron Rodgers and his issue with the Green Bay Packers. It's about philosophy. It's not about Jordan Love. He said that last
Yep.
night. And here's the thing that I will say about the Aaron Rodgers situation. And yeah, someone might have flew me out to Hawaii. I'm not going to name any names. I might have played a little guitar
Oh,
and I might have did a little karaoke, but that might have been on my own time as well. So that being said, I think Aaron Rodgers right now, or I think what is happening in Green Bay is an overcorrection.
oh yeah.
It was an overcorrection to what happened with the Favre situation. It was like, we are not, I think the Green Bay Packers realized they did not want to be held hostage for the next 4 or 5 years by their quarterback, very similar to how Brett Favre held him hostage every, 4 or 5 years when he
For
was
sure.
getting towards the age of where Aaron Rodgers is in the point in his career. Now, here's the thing that I think the Packers screwed up definitely with that overcorrection. They were assuming that Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre were going to be the same type of player. Very much not the case. It's kind of like when you break up with your girlfriend or you get broken up with and you're like, okay, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
And then you go to the next girlfriend, but she's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So the things you were fixing yourself for this one
Yeah.
doesn't even apply to over here. So now you have a frustrated Aaron Rodgers because one, you didn't include him in some of the decision makings that affected him. And then the dude comes back and wins MVP. You were clearly putting the plan in place to move on from him. It might not have been this year, might not have been next year, but after his contract was up, or you might have traded him before his contract was up because it doesn't make sense to just let him walk in free agency. I mean,
Right.
look what the Patriots did, and
Right.
that did not work out for
Yeah,
him.
for sure.
So, I mean, in this situation, I'm more leaning towards the side of Aaron Rodgers just because in my personal life experiences, I've dealt with bosses that said they were for the organization, and when it came down to it, and you're running into some roadblocks, and it's a difficult thing to do, and it makes things not enjoyable when you want to help even more because that's all I mean I believe that's all Aaron Rodgers wants to do is he wants to be able to contribute more,
For sure.
and get back to the people that make the team great. Like, and
Yeah.
that
Yep.
includes the front
Yep.
office. It doesn't exclude that. He's not saying like, okay, well, it's just about the players and the players need to be like, yeah, they do need to be taken care of, and it does need to be looked at less as like a business.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say that. It needs to be looked at like a business, but a new age business where you're trying to take care of your employees and the people there so you have a great community because he talked
Yeah.
about it last night. It's like, when you're talking about community and like what's the team's atmosphere, that's all the players and coaching and the therapists and physical therapy
Right.
people
Right.
and things like that. It's all of those people that create that culture for the Green Bay
Right.
Packers. And I think what we're seeing was a little bit of an overcorrection from the Favre days, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I will say, as the Packers, now this is where I'm gonna maybe take this off a little bit. But as the Packers, you do got to look out for the future. So I understand that
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely.
And I understand getting players that fit a need and things like that. And I understand even the thought of, okay, well, what if Rodgers wasn't here? What does that look like now? I understand doing that thought experiment, whether you lose him to free agency, you trade him away, or whatever. But like you don't just keep him out of conversations. Like, sure, run through that thought experiment. Okay, well, we do need a quarterback that is going to be solid that we think could learn under Aaron Rodgers for the next 2 years. Great. Let him know that. We're seeing that all over the league.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Russell Wilson upset with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And lets them know about it. And I tell you what, if that Russell Wilson situation didn't get as big as it was and the Bears made a tremendous offer to the Seahawks, like I don't think that shift in offensive philosophy ever gets made.
Right.
And
Right.
Russell Wilson is just going to be frustrated, not happy, which is going to lead to him not playing his best ball. And you have the same situation with Aaron Rodgers, who is now we really realize that there are some things that he is upset about,
Yeah, for sure.
and I think rightfully so. So let's have the conversations that we need to have, you know, and now hopefully both sides can really get shit off their chest, and say like, hey, I'm pissed about this, and this. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to help. And here's the other thing: if it doesn't work for both teams, I know the Packers are adamant about not trading him, and I'm adamant about him staying in a Green Bay Packers jersey. You know, to me, there's only two options: we keep Aaron Rodgers or he retires.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And there really, I don't see there being much in between of that. And to be honest, whether they keep Aaron Rodgers or he comes back and he wants to play or he retires, I will be, as a person, I will be okay with both.
Yeah, for sure.
As a fan, I'm going to be like, my butt's going to be puckered every single fucking game without Aaron Rodgers.
No,
they get a lot more intense because they're not so certain.
It's a beautiful picture you paint there. And I think...
yes. Sorry, I'm sorry. I went on a rant, but
no, it's good, man. I think
we're doing things. I'm out in Hawaii. Like I said, Nick, it's been a long night. I'm off of like 10 Red Bulls right now.
There we go. See, I think this is you bring up a good point though, and I think the thing that was coming to my mind when you were mentioning like the overcorrection, right, and like the philosophy and stuff is or more of the philosophy argument is I agree 100%. Overcorrection for sure. I think it's potentially one of those situations where both sides are doing a little too much. Like, it's like, hey, guys, like, this is not, like, But once again, we're not in the room, right? I do think one of the clues that we've gotten in all of this is one of the stories that came out after that, or, earlier in this, I believe more now than ever after hearing that interview last night. And that is the story about when they got rid of Jake Kummerow. Throughout the whole process that we've been going through with this Aaron Rodgers saga, I've pretty much thought most of this is bullshit, and it's been provably bullshit. Like, if you think about it, like, we don't know if the Jerry Krause text is even real. Like, we don't know. They were sure he was going to get traded on draft night. That was obviously not true. He was mad about, maybe him and LaFleur didn't see eye to eye. That was not true. Jordan Love was the report. All this reporting has just been wrong. Wrong. Adam Schefter, wrong. All of the reporting has been wrong. However, the one story that after hearing him last night that I think of is the Jake Kummerow story, which went, for those who are not familiar, essentially what happened was the Packers had Jake Kummerow on their roster playing receiver. And I believe he was like, at the time, he was maybe like their fourth or fifth receiver. I mean, he was not high on the depth chart. However,
but I think they had some injuries that year, which moved him up to the third or second, I think.
They did have some injuries, you're right. And Rodgers liked him a lot. We know that Rodgers liked him a lot. And Aaron Rodgers did a press conference during training camp. This was only like 2 or 3 years ago. He did a press conference during training camp where he was raving about Kummerow, how much he loves Kummerow, talking to the media about how he thinks he's such a good player. He could really help the team, really solid. So he's talking about all this. And the following morning, the Packers cut Jake Kummerow, and he got picked up by the Bills, I believe either the same day or the next day. And that report came out early on in this Aaron Rodgers situation as an example of like where him and the front office, have this rift. And I think that's what it is. I think that of all of the stories, that one seems to be true because it seems to fit with this philosophy argument the most, which is, how are we just not involving him at all? Like, like in any way, shape, or form. Like, you got the guy going out looking like an asshole to Jake Kummerow in the media, in his mind, probably.
For sure.
And you're not involved. Like, there are just these aspects where it's like, I think that is what he's speaking to from a philosophy standpoint. Because the problem is, you're going to get all the stupid, like, takes from mainstream media today about, like, maybe it's coaching philosophy. Maybe he means philosophy about they don't go all in on free agents. Maybe he means... that is all smoke screens. He loves LaFleur. We know that. Like, it's not rocket science. Like,
Yep.
he's, like the offensive philosophy. They've led the league in scoring last year. They look at their salary cap. They pay players. Look at the roster. They have great players on the roster. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that. I think it is that philosophy, that overarching philosophy of like, how much is his opinion taken into account? How much is it like a player led situation? Like, these are
In
the things that I think he seems to have a little bit of a problem with, and so
for
it
sure.
seems like what Aaron Rodgers is doing right now is he's coming from a place of, in his mind, he has another, let's call it 5 years left.
Hmm.
So his opportunity, with the Green Bay Packers, like if he is going to lock in for that final stretch of his career with this organization, he wants to be sure that it's going to play out in a way that is different from the way it has for the last 5 years,
Yeah.
right? And that's, I think that relationship example that you gave earlier is good here too. It's like you're in a relationship, right? Like, and you know you have every indication, all the red flags, like you're fighting all the time, shit is not going good,
Yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden, like, this guy asks you to marry him, and you're sitting there and you're like, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, like, what is my indication that the next 20 years is going to be any different than the last 5, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't, I, if, and at the end of the day, like, I think that's what it comes down to. And so
For
my
sure.
hope is that the Packers will communicate that to him. The unfortunate part is without having an owner, and I'm glad they don't have an owner, by the way, but I do
Yeah.
think these are the situations where that's a little unfortunate because, you're not, the owner can't step in and be like, hey, look, like, this is what we're gonna do, and that's it, right? I think it's an interesting situation. I don't love how vague he was last night. Um, but
Say that one more time.
I don't love how vague he was. Like, he was
Oh
very
yeah,
like,
I know.
it wasn't,
It
he
well
didn't drill
in
down on anything specific. Like it.
well, and the other thing too is like, and he mentioned it early on with Kenny Mayne. He's like, I don't give a shit about talking about that. I'm here
Oh
for you,
yeah,
Kenny.
yeah, yeah,
So and that's probably from Aaron Rodgers. Like I don't think Aaron Rodgers went on ESPN for any other reason to congratulate his friend Kenny Mayne on an awesome career.
for sure.
Because like he was doing everything in that interview to not talk about anything related to the Packers.
It's true. It's
Now,
very true.
obviously, Kenny Mayne
It's
was,
very true.
very pushing it because
You
obviously
got to. Great
you
journalist.
got to.
And by the way,
So
Kenny Mayne, hey, congrats. I mean, it sucks
yeah,
that ESPN got rid of you, but what a guy. I love that dude.
hey, if you looking for a little something to do, come on over to Monday Evening
Huge,
Fancast. We'll get a spot for you, no
huge
doubt,
Kenny Mayne
no
guys over
doubt.
here for sure.
Yeah,
Love that dude.
for sure. But yeah, with the whole Rodgers situation, like I think you hit it right, Nick. It's not about philosophy on the football field. I think him and LaFleur are very very
Yep,
melded together when it comes to the offense and things like that.
absolutely.
I definitely think 100% you're right. Like he's talking about the organizational philosophy because like how do you let your starting quarterback go out and have about a player that he's high on and then the next
Right. It's
and
it's
it and it's
yeah,
not even and it's not like so like to me I would take that as a dig from the organization for sure. I think
for sure.
anyone would in that situation that
Yep,
it's like hey, I'm trying to make some statements like boost some guys up and then the next thing happens is this team comes and undermines me.
for sure.
So
And in
I mean
and
that gets frustrating, especially when you're best quarterback in the league.
yep, and in like it's and that's it, right? Because he is. And so he has, like, when you're that guy, like
Yep.
when you're the talent, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're looking at an organization, it might be anybody listening to this, like it might be your job, like it might be your, just wherever you work. It could just be your job. You could work in sales on like a little sales team with five or
Yep.
six people or whatever. You can be, it doesn't really matter what it is, but when you're the talent, when you know that you're kind of the star player, and it's not an
Yep.
ego thing, it's actually more of like a pressure thing, right? Like, you recognize, like, I have to always bring it because
Yep.
I'm the talent, right? Like, if you find yourself in that position, which Aaron Rodgers does, you're a
Yep.
LeBron James or someone like
Yep.
that, right? A Mike Trout, these athletes, like,
Yep.
when you're the talent, man, I just think at the end of the day, like, it's tough when you feel like you're getting put in a position where, like, no one, like, the things that you value aren't The organization isn't trying to give you those things because everybody values different stuff. Like
For
sometimes
sure.
that star on the sales team or the player, whoever it is, like sometimes they value money, sometimes they value whatever,
Yep.
like flexibility or freedom to kind of whatever. Like, but it's like when you're sitting in that position, you're like, look, I'm helping make this thing go. I am trying my best not to be like an ego-driven person, but like I value this one thing. Like I'm helping make this thing go. Like just like can you guys at least give me that one thing? And it's like I
Yeah.
think he values, having a say in some things, and that's the thing he values. I don't think he values the money as much. I don't think he values all like that seems to be what he values,
No.
so just give the guy that. Like we're not saying do it for
He,
every single person, but like come on, like the guys that value the money, you give them the money. Like that seems to be obviously what they so if this guy values a say in some things, just give him a say in some things. It doesn't seem that hard.
yeah. I know, and you don't even have to go with everything he says. Just let him have an input. Like that's the whole like the most mind-boggling thing to me is like
Yes.
that the Packers organization is sitting there like, well, we don't want to include him because he's towards the end of his career. Like, are you looking so short-sighted and not seeing this dude as a fucking
Yep.
ambassador to your team once he's said and done?
Yep.
As long as we keep him happy? And if you came out to him and said, here, Aaron, like this is what our plan is. We want to sign you to a 3-year extension, have you on for the next 5 years. Let's play some ball, and then after that, we want to transfer to Jordan Love. And if you said that, you had that conversation with
Yep.
him, and then he was able to say,
Yep.
"Yeah, I'm happy playing with 5 years. In that last year, you can trade me. I may want to play more. I don't know, but like,
Right.
I'm not even sure that the Packers organization has had even that conversation
I
with him
know.
yet. Of like, what are you? I mean, I'm sure it's people talking to people, obviously, because that's how most of these situations are handled. But I mean, at some point, you think you just gotta pick up the phone before this all becomes an issue and just be like, hey,
Right.
what are you looking to do,
Right.
Raj?
And that's the
And
you know, I you hope, right? I mean the good thing
yep,
is at the end of the day there's probably some of those phone calls going on behind the scenes, like I said, that we're not privy to. I mean, the reality is we all know how close he is with Bakhtiari. We all know how close he is
yep,
with Aaron Jones. Devontae
yep,
or Devontae hasn't signed his extension, but those two guys signed contract extensions. I'm pretty sure Aaron
yeah,
Rodgers probably spoke to them before they did that. I'm
for
fairly
sure.
certain that David Bakhtiari signed an extension thinking that Aaron Rodgers would be, around,
Yeah.
probably because they've had a
But he was
conversation.
telling people don't sign in
That's
Green
what they
Bay.
say, but that's one of those ones where I
False.
go,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
know. That's the one, right? Where I'm
Yeah.
like,
I don't believe
because
it.
the hard part is why would he tell Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones like, come on, and like
Yeah.
as if those guys don't talk, like, come on,
And
like,
then not try to get any other
you know what I'm
help.
saying? Like it's like these guys are close. They work together
Yeah.
every day. Like they're not. It's not like they're not talking. You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be insane. So like
Yeah.
they're serious. There must be some
Yeah.
sort of indication there, and that he's coming back. But man, it is fascinating to watch it play out. And all you can hope is that maybe moving forward, what a situation like Rodgers, Russell Wilson, will do is it'll just give the players a little more control. Because I do
For
think
sure.
that that's worked in other sports. I think the
Yep.
NBA is a good example of that. Like
For sure.
that has worked in some other sports, and
Yep.
and it's worked in football, to be quite honest. Peyton Manning was one of those guys where the teams were like, "Yeah, man, do your thing." Like like it's all good. Like I think that is something that hopefully it will start to move the needle on a little bit with some of these guys, and it
For
should
sure.
in a sport like football when you got a quarterback and you can sign him for 5 years, like and they kind of stay put in a lot of circumstances, right? A lot of
Yep.
quarterbacks, like you draft them, and if they're good, they're kind of there.
Yep.
Like let
For
let those
sure.
guys be involved more. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
Hopefully that's the case moving forward, man. But what a wild night. I'm sure it's gonna be a
And
wild day too.
yeah, and the other thing too is like this, the Favre situation, the Rodgers situation, this shit's starting to turn into a fucking Haley's Comet type of thing.
Yeah,
Because I will say this, I'm scrolling through Twitters and you have fans of each side
I know.
of
I
Aaron
know.
Rodgers. Like you can't say one thing about Aaron Rodgers
It's
being positive because you
yep,
can be attacked about.
yep.
They're like, oh, they don't need to cater to him. He's just one player. And then I'm like, but he's the best player in the league.
I
So
know.
it's like, yeah,
It's
it's like you can want Aaron Rodgers as your
yep.
quarterback, the people I see, this is the time I hate being a Packers fan, because you just see how stupid some Packers fans are when it comes to these types of situations. Just let them play out. Be a fan of the team. If Rodgers is there, that's fantastic. But also understand Rodgers is a person. It's like he's not just some talent that he's a next level talent. So take that into consideration, Packers fans. That yes, there are things on both sides that Aaron Rodgers is right and the Green Bay Packers are right on. Yes, you do need to look to the future of your organization for sure. Aaron Rodgers wants to be a part of the future of that organization. Through his conversations, he has made that clear. But now it's the issue of well, now you rubbed him the wrong way because you wouldn't let him be a part of the future of the organization by including him. So he's upset. You telling me you never went to a job, Packers fans, that you had a boss who just told you what to do, but didn't really take your input in? And I'm sure that boss rubbed you the wrong way, and I'm sure you probably quit that job because of that boss. So for you to criticize Aaron Rodgers for wanting more of a say in the organization that he works for, it's just ludicrous. Right now, Packers fans, to me, in obviously last night and this morning, in this one little brief period, worse than Bears fans.
Yeah, I mean it's
with the back and forth, and it's just unreal. But I mean, Bears fans after today will be a lot worse, and just in general. But also Packers fans, you got to appreciate we've had 30 years of great quarterbacks. Come on, we could be the Chicago Bears and had 30 years of dog shit.
Yeah, it's true.
So what are we really upset about that Aaron Rodgers might be moving on? Yeah, he's the fucking next level talent. Hopefully the Packers did the right thing and they replicated the formula and Jordan Love is our guy. Hopefully they did that good. And if that's the case, then they're on to something and we're going to rock and we're going to roll. But if not, let's get Aaron Rodgers back. Let's do what we have to do to mend that relationship. I don't get why people are so oh, well, he's just disgruntled. Just let him sit out then. It's what? No, try to fix the mistake that you made. It's not that hard. Take a little bit of accountability and say, you know what? If Brian Gutekunst came out and was hey, we did make some mistakes along the way of handling the situation, but we are committed to getting it fixed with Aaron, and we want to, and genuinely, you have to feel that. You have to actually believe that as an organization that you want this guy in house and you want to help him out. And it just makes fun. It makes sense. Thinking back to the Pat McAfee show where they had the Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. And thinking back to him saying a lot of his career is out of his hands at this point. And now looking back, that means it's because football is a business. You hear it all the time, and that he was referring to there. Yeah. So, Packers fans, let's take a seat. Let's buckle in. We got a bumpy road ahead of us. We're gonna get through it. We got through it before. And I mean, worst case scenario, we're not gonna be as bad as the Bears.
That's a fact.
Knock on wood.
That's a fact.
So, I think that's all I got to say about that.
It's wild.
Might go hit the beach or something. I don't know.
There you go. You and me.
Maybe get back to OTAs. I don't know.
You and me both. Oh man, you gotta love it. NFL football, man. It's right around the corner.
For sure. So, all right, guys. If you got any takes about Aaron Rodgers, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow. And I think we're just getting started with this Aaron Rodgers Packer saga, which sucks because I didn't want to go down this Aaron Rodgers Packer saga. But, yeah, let's buckle in. Let's be respectful of people's viewpoints on the situation, both sides, Let's have conversation. Let's see, I think that's an important part of this whole thing. Especially, let's take a note from the Packers organization and Aaron Rodgers where they're at right now. They're kind of at a stalemate. So don't be Packers fans that are just criticizing the other side for their viewpoint. Let's have conversation. Let's get to a commonality. Because as fans, if we start doing that, Aaron Rodgers, he's in Packers Twitter. We know that. He sees it all. So if we're all coming together, then he's like, oh, they're coming together on my behalf. And then all of a sudden, he's back in Green Bay. Not the GM. Not any of that stuff. It's because of the fans and the players and the culture and the philosophy that we bring to the game. Because I don't know if you heard the words that he was talking last night. I don't know if you were just waiting to hear, I'm retired, I'm coming back. But if you were listening and listening between the lines, you would have heard that it's a culture thing. It's a philosophy thing. He is trying to make the NFL a better place for players and organizations. So remember that. Let's have conversation. And us fans, let's be the reason. And I'm sorry, this turned into a Green Bay Packers show this last 30 minutes. But we got to use our platform, Nick, to get him back in Green Bay because we can't let him not go. So, guys, email your politicians and let them know that we need to get Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. And if we need some legislation to do it, maybe we can get it done before the season starts. And you know what? Aaron Rodgers, I want you to be happy, my guy. I want happiness for you. So we do love you, Aaron. So if happiness for you means moving on from football, I'm all for it. If it means moving on from the Packers, I'm a little less for it, but still want the happiness for you.
For sure.
So, take that with a grain of salt. But guys, be ready. He might be on Pat McAfee's show today. Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. It's Tuesday. He was on Kenny Mayne last night. I heard AJ Hawk say a little blurb about tomorrow's show's going to be great. Don't know what that's about. Because if he was going to break some news like that, he would do it rather on the Pat McAfee show than ESPN. And it would be a major dig to ESPN if he was on the show last night for his guy Kenny Mayne and just said no, not doing it here. And then goes to the Pat McAfee show because ESPN did kind of start this whirlwind. But I think it's good that it did get brought out because I think now we can start the healing process.
That's what it is. That's all it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah. What a Tuesday.
The world heals. Packers heal. Aaron Rodgers heals. Also, down 15 pounds, no inflammation in his body. I mean, hey, you got a lot like that going into the year. So come on, let's do what we got to do. But I think that's all we got for the show today.
Yeah. It was a good one. We'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully this will become less of a Packers show. But until this shit is figured out, it is going to keep being this way. So I'm just letting you guys know this up front. Unapologetically Packers fans here. We cover it all.
Yeah,
but,
and let's be honest. Let's go to another YouTube channel. Go to another streaming platform that streams about football. Go to ESPN, CBS Sports, Fox Sports, those streaming platforms, and realize that everyone in the world is talking about Aaron Rodgers this morning. So we did have to do it. But we're also Packers fans, so I think we can bring an insight that is just better than the media's insight.